public. Nobody is in there. So there will be no public hearing at this point. Tom, did you want to explain what's going on?
Yeah, collecting documents for complete applications, and I requested the board reschedule the public hearing, to a month from now.
Susan, do you have a copy of the agenda or not?
I'm sorry?
Copy of the agenda?
Oh, yeah.
There were some on the.
Bring me one also, Heidi.
So under new business, we will schedule a public hearing. Is the first or the 15th? It will the first, Tom, will the first be enough time?
I don't know, because I'm waiting for documents for the application.
So let's go with the 15th.
Which,
So that's still pending the documents then, right?
And that'll be at 6:30, right?
That will be at 6:30.
Okay.
Oh,
You need a resolution to that, right?
yeah.
Make a resolution and we hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 15th at 6:30. This for the let's say
Yes, Sabia property,
Baltic Motel.
Baltic Motel. Second. Tom seconds. Discussion. Tom?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Heidi?
Yes.
Pina? Matt?
Yes.
Pina?
Yes.
Me, yes. Okey-doke. Public comment. All right, moving on to report. Superintendent Johnny is at his son's wrestling match tonight. And our new employee, Michael Metzger, started, and he's fitting in nicely, and John is happy so far after 3 days. So that's good. Treasurer, Mr. Olson.
The monthly financial reports were distributed this afternoon by email. Let me know if you didn't receive them. Make sure to update my mailing list. There's 2 resolutions. I went to the expenditure code A341044, public safety fire department fuel has been depleted and is needed funds to cover the fire department fuel to the end of the fiscal year. Resolution is requested to increase the line item A341044 by $12,000, and that would decrease public safety fire / administration assistant A341012 by $12,000.
You want to do these as you
It's up to you all.
had one of these?
One at a time, yeah.
I'll make,
So move.
I'll move that.
Second, Mr. Bergen,
Second.
Mr. Colbert seconds it. Discussion?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Nina?
Yes.
Me? Yes.
Expenditure code A341047, public safety fire department / OSHA has been depleted and is needed funds to cover the cost of fire department physicals and EAP services to the end of the fiscal year. Resolution is requested to increase line item A341047 by $2,000, excuse me, that should be $3,000. And that money would decrease public safety fire department / administrative assistant A341012 by $3,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes.
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 And lastly, provided the January abstract for approval.
Yeah, we usually do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
If I've given you an agenda, you would have known that.
I've got it right here. I just wasn't following closely.
Not early, before the meeting. Code enforcement. Oh, chief, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, we finished the year, 43 calls for December, 559 for the year.
How many?
559 for the year, which was ahead of the year before. I'll explain a couple of things, the reason why you gotta, when you change accounts, everybody knows about fuel. I had upped my budget for fuel, and in 6 months, we used a year's worth of fuel. So it doesn't look like that's gonna change a heck of a lot, so next year I doubled my fuel budget. So we shouldn't have to move anything around, and then the other one was the physicals. We started this year doing more expensive physicals for people that want them for cancer protection. So we offer extra blood tests, which unfortunately costs a lot of money. But if we can find one person, you know, that would make it well worth it. So same thing next year, I almost doubled the money that we're gonna spend on physicals, just to keep up on that. Everybody knows we had the fire over here the other night. And Tina, she was on the first truck. So she was the first line in the house. They did a great job just keeping it to the kitchen. Considering it had a fairly good head start on us, and with the two houses behind it almost touched me. When I pulled around the corner and saw that, it's like, oh, that time really quick. I just pulled up when you were calling the orders already. So I think everybody got a head start. The thing called pulse point that you can sometimes work, sometimes doesn't work, but if it works, you can get a head start on it. And I don't know if you did that or not, but I know Paul started, Joe started, when we came across that.
I think she might have felt the heat.
And she drove by the house.
I did drive by the house. I saw my room.
The one thing, and I don't know if you guys can get it out to the residents, is to get people to number their houses. The guys driving the first truck and the second truck, which was Paul and Fred, knew where the house was. So they're pretty good about the village because they grew up here and they know all the streets. But the houses aren't numbered very well. I took a look again today. And you got like 8, 9, 10 over here, and then jumps to 3. And, you know, so luckily all the guys coming had been down here previously and they knew where the house was, so we didn't have any problems finding it. So just if you get out in your newsletters or whatever, if people can, I mean, we've talked about lettering your houses and just making them big enough so that we can see. Because most of the streets, as you guys know, just don't make any sense. Especially people on the corner. You don't know, are you on this street or are you on this street? So, you know, obviously if it's a big enough fire, you don't have to worry about a number because you can see it. This case, I made the left turn, trooper made the left turn, and it was the correct turn. You know, I'm trying to think of coming down to the high numbers that way or the high numbers this way. So, it didn't delay us any because like I said, the guys coming down off of the station, they knew right where the house was, because that's the third time that house is burned since Fred and Paul went in. So when they heard the address, they said, oh, we know where that one is. So just if you can get it out to everybody that know their houses. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Code enforcement officer, Mr. Sheridan.
We have 17 open building permits in the village. 9 of them are in Rippon's Ridge. In Victoria Landing, the mayor signed the notice of, what is it, the NOC, notice of termination for the stormwater, which basically ends our relationship with Amador. We no longer have anything to do with the Amador builder. The planning board will meet January 25th and the zoning board on the 26th. That's it.
That's it.
Gary, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Peter, are the houses in Victoria's Landing and Rippon's Ridge, are they placarded with the
Trust.
yes?
Trust,
with the
yeah.
trust
They should
house?
be. Yeah, I buy the meter.
Okay, I hadn't been around there to take a look lately.
Yeah, I'll
They're
check.
supposed to be that.
We just learned that.
They're by the meter placards that indicate
Yeah,
that they
all
have a
the
certain
construction
kind of
started a couple of years ago.
trust that burns and can collapse the house. Something firefighters may want to know when they're going in a house.
Actually, the best thing for this house here the other night was that it was old. It wasn't sheetrock. It was sheetrock and it was a lot worse. where the old houses being all the wood and plaster and everything else, the fire didn't burn through, went up the wall and across the top of the ceiling. When they went in, it hadn't broken through the wall yet, so. It worked out well that way.
Okay, parking enforcement, is that all for questions?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, parking enforcement, Bob called me and said all is good, he's making his routine, things are pretty quiet, no animal calls last month. And auditorium / AP3 will be Lydia.
Yeah, I have an auditorium report from Sharon.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
She had a conflict and but looks forward to having a discussion on the auditorium at the February workshop meeting. Is that what we're doing on the first?
Yeah, yep, and that's,
So one of the items this month for the board is that the FAA reached out with a request to use the auditorium for a pilot's safety meeting. She's been communicating with Adina Papp, the FAA safety team program manager. The FAA does not offer funding for these events, so I'm asking the board if this is something that they consider waiving the rental fee for the auditorium. There will be 50 to 60 pilots in attendance. The event would be midweek around 7 p.m. A lecture type presentation lasting about 2 hours. They would provide the screen and projector. This is a yes, then I'll pursue other details, she said, and she's penciled in Wednesday the 21st for this event.
so that was June.
June 21st, Wednesday. Sale on antiques or common. No, but is the book sale during antiques in June?
Or do they do that in markets?
Markets.
They
Yeah,
do that in March.
I think it, yeah, you know, you were driving the truck.
Yeah,
I think, yeah.
I think it is markets.
yeah, yeah. it was
Because we, yeah,
Marcus.
we have the night of illumination in June, so we couldn't use it.
All right, we'll go back to that. During January and February, much of her time has been spent, she said, much of my time is spent firming up the programming calendar for 23. This time, there are a lot of moving parts. Some programs have been confirmed, others are still in flux. I would like to have everything confirmed by the end of February. Lydia and I met with the tree committee to discuss the possibility of creating a possible memory circle or a tree walk to include the auditorium. She's touched base with Carpe Diem and we'll have another Zoom meeting with them in February. She's meeting with the staff members of the Empire State Youth Orchestra next week and Jim Richmond from the Saratoga History Center Roundtable in early February. And she will contact Andover by the end of January to schedule organ tunings. And that's the report. Do we want to do anything about the pilots? Safety meeting on the June 21st, as far as the rental.
And we should probably let them know as soon as possible, so
Oh,
the
pilot.
FAA,
Yeah,
so they can plan.
yes.
I mean, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
So motion to waive, Tina?
I'm fine with it. My only thought is that moving forward, we might want to think about. If word gets out that we're gonna let the space for government agencies for free, should we limit it to X number per month or something, just food for thought. If we start getting a number of these types of requests. Yeah. But I'm fine with this request.
I'll make the motion noting that, what Tina mentioned, that we should just
That it does not set
think
a
about it.
precedent.
Yeah.
So a motion to.
Waive the
allow-
fee and allow the FAA pilots to be here on June 21st for approximately 2 hours.
Fee and other requirements?
So you're saying a maximum of 2 hours?
No.
Well, approximately.
Right, but the number of people, I know that was,
So she said up to 70.
50 to 60.
That should be well done.
Per
Yeah.
2 hours.
There is a board meeting that night. I don't think, so. Pilots could attend.
They could fly in.
7 p.m.
Well,
Any luck, it'll be, our meeting will be over by then.
they could hit the board, yeah. Exactly.
So
Is there any other,
waiving the fees and other requirements?
any other requirements? But, I mean, somebody's gotta open the place and close the place.
That's-
Right, but as far as, you know, insurance. or anything-
Insurance, yeah.
Sorry.
Discussion?
I'm just actually quite surprised that a federal agency provides no funding for safety training for pilots.
That's kind of
That
frightening.
shocks me. Quite frankly, it shocks me.
Right.
Doesn't sound right, but I guess we're doing our civic duty to make sure. that this-
And of course, there's a little bit of curiosity about why they have a facility,
Right,
why they'd wanna
right.
go
Yeah,
off-site.
the whole thing is curious to me, but
Yeah,
that's fine.
Well, do we want to find out more?
I mean, I think, my personal opinion is I'm okay doing it, but I would love to find out some more reason why. Why us, why this place, why?
Like any company, sometimes they just wanna get off site,
Yeah.
out of the classroom.
They all go to Lake Ridge after?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But I would be curious though, as a federal agency. If we're waiving the insurance, if something were to happen, I mean, they're a government agency, shouldn't they automatically be covered?
They probably are.
Because it's during their working hour, well, no, it's 7 PM, so.
Well, it's probably a required event.
Yeah, it's required training, from what I
Yeah.
Do we
understand.
want to just say that you can get more information from Sharon but if you're satisfied with that, you know, we authorize the.
Sharon to,
Well, authorize Gary to say we'll waive the fee, but you'd like a couple questions.
Pending further
okay. All right, so,
clarification.
further clarification, the mayor would, be allowed to make the final decision.
If it's
Yeah,
satisfactory.
yeah.
Hour.
I know, that's unbelievable.
That would be into new business for next time.
Yes. And we haven't voted on that.
No.
yet, have we? Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And AP3, I'm sorry, Heidi, is that it? for-
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And moving on to AP3.
Right. We just had a couple of items, we talked a lot about installing the fans that we have. Scott is still trying to track down the last fan that was. Went astray somewhere, but Dan and allegedly Jeff Cannon are coming up with some installation plan that they plan to present to the board in February. They're starting to get more concerned about getting all the work done before the season starts, so. There's that. I asked Heidi to approach the board about anyone wanting to work with me on getting, funding from, the state in the next grant cycle. It's a very complicated process. Not surprisingly, nobody jumped up and volunteered, so. I think what I'll probably do is just go through the building condition report and try to put together a proposal based on the most pressing needs identified there, which I will run by the board.
Which grant was this? Lydia?
I don't know which one.
Okay, all right.
But it's, as you know, you go through Grants Gateway and
Yeah.
they sort of steer you toward the appropriate agency and the appropriate funding for your project. So we thought that this year, I thought this year we're in about the best position we're ever going to be for actually getting one of those grants, so.
Hey Lydia, I would like to assist you just because I'd like to learn more about the process as it
Okay,
develops.
it's miserable. So I hope they get started on that in the next week, like identifying what the project's gonna be. Also, AP3 voted to purchase stage monitors that Dan thinks are important for providing a good performance experience. And can be used for other things like the Veterans Day event, things like that, so. And that will live over in the auditorium. And that's all I have. I don't remember anything else of note.
Can I just say that something? we received, one bid on the tower. I looked at it, three contractors, only one of them put a bid in on repairing the tower. Also, I think I told you, the roof is leaking in one place, so I had a contractor look at it and got prices to fix the roof. I gave the quote to Sharon, I think it was $120,000 to really do it right. I think the fascia board is coming off the side, it needs some plywood.
That was just for the one
That's the
part.
whole roof. For the one side, it's probably be a lot less. I think he said if I just shingled the roof, it would be about $70,000 to $80,000. But if I really did it right, it would be about $120,000. And that's fixing all the fascia board, the dentals going around the edge, putting plywood down, and then a new roof.
Let's look at that tomorrow.
Okay.
But I think he gave two. One was like 180,000 and one was 120, I think. Let's revisit that
Okay.
tomorrow. Yeah, and board members in front of you where it says for February meeting, it has the bid information and the stairs and the ramp proposal. For February meeting. Video, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And clerk. Any words of wisdom for us?
I was gonna say, I found it kind of ironic that I was appointed for the position with a full moon, and I'll be starting my first day full-time with the new moon. So I kind of thought that was neat, and in the few days that I've been able to put into this, we processed the water bills, the water and sewer bills, and that was like part of my first duties was to get those. Did a report for the delinquent bills, and it looks like there's probably a quarter of them that are delinquent. Some of them may have come in the last week or so, but so they're being assessed a late charge, and the late charge will go up for the time. That is all I have.
I mentioned it to Kim, but she was on her way out, so she probably didn't think about it. Can you check the actual bill form that goes out? I don't believe there's anything that on there that says where to pay online. I went back and checked my payment stuff.
Okay.
I'm like,
Okay.
and then somebody was like, oh, we didn't get any payments online. And I'm like, I thought we did that one. We may have rolled it out like in another way, but I don't think it's actually on the bill itself.
Yeah, it's not easy. I remember couple of years back, I had a line saying that if we don't have your email address, please put your email address here. And that took some doing. It wasn't as easy as one would think, but it's a good point, very good point.
Just because if I wait till next year, I'll forget.
Yeah, it's, you do it from the checking account, it's only like $1.99 or something, pay online, it's cheap. Something like that.
All righty, tree committee, Stuart and Emily may be coming at 7. So when they come, we can, if and when they come for a report, I'll recognize them. Under new business, we won't be adopting a local law. I got a little ahead of myself there, but the local law enacting a property tax exemption for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers. We have to decide 4 things. 1, do we want to pursue it? 2, what number from 0 to 10% under section 1? And then the optional provisions at the end. There are, I believe, 3 of them.
Also, under eligibility requirements, paragraph F, how many years constitute minimum service for the first responder to be eligible?
Oh, right. Under F, state a number between 2 and 5. As a starting point, I would say 10. 2 years. And yes to all three.
That's where I'm at too, Gary.
Yeah, I agree with Alana.
I
I do-
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
I'm sorry, Gary may have the information already. How many residents serve as
In the village,
in the village who would be eligible?
Fred will be.
Doug,
and
No.
so
Five.
5 or 6 at this point. Which is a high for the last few years.
Yeah.
So,
And they, obviously they'd all be eligible, right?
yes.
I would-
Well,
Becca has
would be
another
the
year.
newest person. But she's probably in her first year, so she would have to go another year.
Yeah. And we don't, I mean, obviously, it's not gonna be a big number. But we don't have an idea of what this is, because whenever you do anything like this, you're shifting the burden. To other taxpayers. That, and I don't have a problem with this.
I don't think
You would,
it's only gonna affect your village tax,
Right,
right?
it's not a huge.
It's gonna be about $100.
few $1,000s at the most.
It's about $100 probably for typical residents, and if we've got 6 currently, that means it's gonna get no more than a couple grand a year.
Yeah, right, yeah.
No, sales tax, income.
Yeah,
That's
sounds
how
pretty
you
well.
guys are the only one that I have heard of that's even discussing.
Wow.
So
Really?
it's a good thing, and we're gonna use you as an example to try to get some other people on board to at least bring it up at their meetings, so.
It was not
We
well
appreciate
publicized,
it.
I mean, until Tina brought it up, I had not heard about it.
And not, they're not gonna stop every day.
I know, it's a shame.
They sign it, they put it out there and hope everybody forgets about it.
Well, I did ask Gary, once we, do finalize ours, would we communicate to, because we have members in Boston, like.
Yeah, like Malta has no town tax, so that's really not gonna affect Malta. We'll work on Boston. We got a couple people meeting with Shen this week, a couple different fire departments, to try to get them on board with it. If you have to do like the municipality plus the school plus the county to actually put everything all together.
They're not,
This is a good start.
they're not contingent on each other, are they?
No.
Okay.
What
No,
we've heard, like you'll do yours, and if we get Shen on board, they'll do theirs.
Yeah.
And then if we get the county on board, they'll do theirs. So in the long run, Tina could end up with three things.
so is it, I don't mean to belabor this, but is it, where's the point of origin for something like this? Like I get, I
We
mean,
were told nothing.
It was, I think in December, it was in the.
it was a
It
law
was passed by
by,
the-
by the
governor
state.
Passed it by the
Right,
state.
nothing was sent out to us. The
So
first I really
it's
saw
up
it
to
was
a certain municipality or taxing entity to kickstart this before the others will, like I get a veterans exemption from,
Yeah, some guys mentioned that they get veterans.
from the school district, the town,
Right.
county and here. But I mean, you don't know where it started, you don't know how it starts.
Tom, it was, the state, in an effort to help with the recruitment efforts, wanted to offer an incentive,
Oh, okay.
and so the state said, oh. They're eligible, but you gotta pass it, you gotta. it was
Right.
like
Yeah,
a
so
local-
everybody's got to do it.
Every volunteer can get when you do your taxes, every volunteer can get a $200.
But it doesn't,
credit.
but it doesn't carry over, so if we did it, it wouldn't, the town wouldn't automatically do it, or the
No,
school
you're
district.
gonna be, she'll get, if this all goes through, she'll get a 10% reduction in her assessments for town taxes.
For village.
Then, or village taxes. Then if the county goes through with it, then she would get the same thing for the county. And if the school district goes through with it, then she would get the same thing with the school district. Yeah, they all have to be separate all the way up.
Yeah,
If we're one of the first to do it, I think it'd be worth getting a press release out there.
Absolutely.
Then it
I
would-
have not heard anybody else mention it in any other department.
do you guys do media, anything like that?
Try to stay away from them.
I know.
Matt can do that.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
contact a couple of people.
I actually drafted a letter to the town supervisor, of that one out, letting them know, so.
I've heard nothing from him, so.
Could we let the media group that worked on us with the Recruit New York stuff?
I
No,
don't even know if they're still involved with the county. If you guys do it, we can at least get it out on our Facebook
Yeah.
page, which is the most active fire department in the county as far as people on our Facebook page, so. We can get that out, and that'll get a lot of people throughout the county.
The village is choosing the most generous iteration
Mhm.
of this local law that it could
So,
under.
like I said, I never saw anything until Gary sent his out. The government never, they never sent anything to us, or
Well, we could do a, you know, the normal way we communicate with the village in every way. we communicate. And you guys could do something with the fire department. You could also send something to the conference of mayors. So the village around Lake, first,
first I've heard.
first municipality to
I heard
endorse.
nobody else, like I said, yesterday I heard, we were in a class and somebody from another department called Paul Parker. And they're meeting with Oliver, I think next week, to see if they can get Shen on for the departments in this area,
sure.
so. If we can get Shen on, we figure since they're the biggest, they'll do it.
They'll blast it.
Halston,
Yeah.
And get down to some of the smaller school districts around town.
Yeah.
So,
Tom, right now, all we have to do is
I
schedule
need
a
someone
public
to
hearing.
move a resolution to hold a public hearing on this, the next regular work meeting.
I'll make that resolution.
Which,
I
Tina.
defer to Tina.
you want to make the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Public hearing on the 20. No,
It would be the first plus 14 is 15
the 15th of February, yeah.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah, okay.
at 6:30.
That's the second.
The what?
That's the second one.
Yeah,
Second one.
Second public hearing. Second meeting and second public hearing on Monday. All right, so
We need a vote on that.
I don't, oh,
Yes,
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 yes.
and just, I mean, we just see what happened the last couple nights ago there. I mean, I think it's the more people we have representing the village. Either there.
I'm there quick because I'm less than half.
Exactly.
now is the call, and I'm getting in my car driving, so you get there pretty quick.
all right, next on the agenda, appoint members to the ethics committee. I will move to appoint the following residents to the ethics committee for terms of 5 years. Gary Jones, Chair, Dr. Lori Naranch, and John Thayer.
so it's a 3-member thing.
Well, for now,
For now.
I have 3.
Oh, I see. I got you.
Second,
That was Heidi.
oh, Heidi seconded. And discussion. Gary Jones, by the way, is chair of the Malta Ethics Committee and has been for a long time.
Excellent choices.
Okay, Tom?
Yes,
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 yes.
Yes. And let's see, the February 1st workshop will be all things auditorium. So there will be a lot of stuff coming at you via email from me and probably Sharon and Heidi and Lydia probably, so.
I won't be.
Lydia, you won't be here? I was just gonna invite you, make sure that you were here. Alrighty. You can shoot me, you know, anything that you want, give it to me or Heidi or Sharon that you want to be considered. Alrighty, and next we have a report from the tree committee.
Yeah, so we just had our first meeting of the year last night. We're preparing for presentation from Baby Resources. At their report, and the inventory and the management plan. Some interesting. It's a data from the inventory, kind of interesting, we have about 1,200 trees they counted. They
talking about 85 of them are definitely dead, and we come down. Some other are in poor conditions and they have to come down, but there's all kinds of really interesting data to come up with that can help us with our long-term plan, like a 1, 5, and 10-year plan, so that's gonna be a great presentation. And we're organizing for spring cleanup day, doing some mulching, organizing for Arbor Day, and planting some more trees.
When is Arbor Day?
April something?
Oh, I'm thinking of birthdays.
April 30. We usually celebrate on that Saturday, which is.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did last year. End of April, that's close enough for me.
Yeah.
All right, well, correspondence, I don't think we had any correspondence. And we don't have any minutes. Do we have any minutes? I don't think so.
I sent them all out for draft. And I hadn't heard back.
Oh, okay. We'll hit those at the February 1st meeting.
The minutes.
Yeah, we usually print them out.
Sorry.
Approval of abstract. Motion to approve the abstract in the amount of $63,206.70, approved per fund as follows. A fund $58,252.81, F fund $4,631.34, G fund $322.55.
Second,
Discussion? Tom?
yes.
Katie?
Yes.
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 Yes. Village attorney.
We have an upcoming ZBA meeting where we're going to continue discussing the hotly debated idea of granting special use permits at Victorian Landings. And as part of that, we have a neighbor notification requirement. And I believe that Susan has been successful in working with the real property division at the county and has acquired the know-how to be able to say, here's an address, give us all the names and addresses of people within 200 feet, which is what's required under the short-term rental law. That's going to be very helpful. And I'm sure it's going to be used far into the future.
Good.
Can I ask a technical question about this? But you mentioned 200 feet, that there's a requirement that if it's a home within 200 feet, you have to have notification, but if it's over 200 feet, you wouldn't.
Well, there will still be published notice in the newspaper.
Right.
For all special use permits,
Okay.
that's a requirement.
Yes.
But if you are submitting an application for short-term rental, it's that 200-foot notification.
And that only applies to short-term rent?
For short-term rentals.
Okay.
And that's in addition to the publication requirement.
Okay.
But even that's quite extensive. For one of them, we have 41 people that have to be notified by letter.
Right, but there's also places in this village where you could be building something like that. And I could think of Cronin or Stada or some people on the other end where they would never even have to be notified that something like that was happening.
If we have their email address, they will be notified
Yeah.
because that doesn't cost anything. And I've been sending out.
I was just
email
That's
notifications.
not part of the requirement, but I think sending out additional notification to more people is a great idea.
I was just surprised to hear it was a 200-foot limit. Plan.
Peter.
Can I raise an issue, Tom? About making a moratorium on any more Airbnbs. I think we currently have about 6 or 7 Airbnbs in the village. And we're flying by the seat of our pants. We really don't know what we're doing. It's been a struggle going along with this. It would be nice if we could get our act together and then have a moratorium until we get our act together, and then proceed with decide how many do we want in the village, how many Airbnbs are there going to be in the village or up in Victoria Landing. I just think it would be a good idea to put the brakes on for a little bit and get our act together.
Will the Victorian Landings Homeowners Association have a decision by our next February 15th meeting?
they have a meeting at the firehouse on the 25th of this month. The 26th of the month. And I think that, I'm not sure what their agenda is. I'm meeting with the president of the HOA on Monday. I don't know if they had enough, in order to have a vote on it, they have to have a meeting and I guess more than 50% of the owners have to agree on it. And then any law that any change in their bylaws has to be approved by the village board. So even if they have a vote and say, we don't want any more, Airbnbs, the village board still has to come to the village board for approval.
Peter, when you said there's 6 or 7 Airbnbs, are you saying there's, other than the Ames at one, they're all within our current law,
Yeah.
so they're part-time Airbnbs, owner occupiers that are renting it out for part of the year?
Yeah.
And they've all got special use permits?
They're all in the process.
All in the process.
It's been a ragtag, we're flying by pants
Okay.
doing this.
Okay,
How about we wait to see what the HOA does and be guided by that?
last question I have, the 200 feet thing, where does that stem from? Is that?
That's in our local law.
That is in our local law. I don't remember the number, okay.
I would recommend that the zoning board of appeals, which has this hot potato now, has to implement it because it's the one that issues the special use permits. I think it's discovering the issues that are arising in implementation of that law. And perhaps it would be a good idea to have the ZBA make recommendations to the village board of ways to tweak that local law to make it easier to navigate if you're an applicant or if you're someone who wants to comment on it.
Do you have any specific suggestions you could share with them?
Well, there was one that I circulated today, which has to do with clarifying the public notice. And that the village clerk or the clerk to the ZBA would send out the letters so that we are sure that all the people entitled to notice indeed have it. As well as put in the publication to our local paper for the second notification that's required by our local law. And so there are time periods and there no earlier than 21 days, no later date than 7 days, no later publication than 7 days before the hearing. The most important suggestion that I have is nobody does anything until a full application has been submitted. And then if that happens and the costs are paid by the applicant, then we do the publication on the newspaper and one of those two clerks sends out the letter notifications. And we put it on the agenda for the next ZBA meeting.
It would be helpful to me anyways, to have a sort of flow chart. This, then.
I guess what I'm asking is, would you like the ZBA to put together?
That would be
It's
helpful.
suggestions?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask, are emails notification? Would you consider email to somebody a notification? Or do you have to send a postcard?
It's like Gary just mentioned.
I would just like to send a letter in an envelope. And then like the 33 Gilman Loop where we've got 41 people to notify. Susan or Alex takes that spreadsheet and says, on such a day, I sent a copy of the attached letter to all of these people. He signs it, I notarize it, it goes in the file. And then if there's ever any question, we can show that we have done due notification to all the people entitled.
In the past, we've used a postcard. a simple postcard notifying people that there's about the zoning board meeting. And we charge, the applicant $3.50 for every postcard we send out.
I think that's a good idea.
It's our law. I mean, it's what's written in our code.
That's what we do for the planning board?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never been part of that, but
Well, one of the things in our code that I found interesting, and I don't know what section it is on where we are required to notify adjoining property owners. But in that same paragraph, the second sentence says that if the clerk fails to notify for any reason, it doesn't affect, it has no impact on the actions of the ZBA or the planning board. And it's almost like it's canceling out the first part of it.
For planning board, I could see that. I can't see that for the zoning board, because that's a quasi judicial board. That's kind of more serious.
And I'm sorry, I can't reference the section of the code, but I remember reading it. Maybe you'll find that I'm mistaken.
this is what I'm looking at for the,
Notification.
for the 200 feet.
Oh, I was looking at the notification. Where you had to notify adjoining property owners of something that's happening. As it
Okay,
relates to short-term
that may be
rentals.
under subdivision law.
That
Yeah.
wording is actually in a lot of things. Failure to do this.
Is that just a way to
does not
protect the,
Keep the wheels going, I think, but
And in order to issue any special use permit, you have to notify the county, you get approval from the county. So we still have to do that 239 through the county on each one, each special permit.
make sure that's in the flow chart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And one of the aspects of the proposal that I circulated earlier today, and that just went to the ZBA plus you and Peter. Was that if that list is generated from county records, and if the clerk sends that letter to those people, and if publication is made in the newspaper, then ipso facto, that is adequate notice. And so we just get beyond that issue. It kind of has the same
Same
issue that
thing.
if somebody has moved and the county hasn't updated its records in time, we're still safe.
if I find that reference, I'll email everybody and just say,
Okay.
check out section with it.
The other thing, just wanted to add too, is that there is a bill that we just put forward in the state legislature that would regulate Airbnbs or short-term rentals statewide. And I don't know what chance it has of passing, but it was just,
I was under the impression that it was going to be a database.
yes,
So that all short-term rentals would have to register,
correct.
and communities like Round Lake that don't have the ability to. Do a lot of canvassing, record keeping and so forth, could just tap into that.
Correct. Yeah,
Which
so,
would be terrific.
yeah, there's obviously, as you can imagine, pushback on that, but I don't know if Carrie might be somebody to talk to about what's going on with that. I don't know what odds it's going to be passing, but something to keep an eye on.
Okay, village trustees, Tom?
No.
got Anything?
Nothing.
Heidi?
No.
Matt? Nope. Tina? Public comment? We do need executive session.
We do.
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah, I didn't bring my code with me, darn it. I move to go into executive session to discuss the employment, and some other things of certain people.
Second.
Tom?
Yes.
Heidi, yes.
Yes, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks for coming, folks. Sorry you won't be here, Lydia.
My place is going.
Are you skiing?
Celebrating my retirement.
Oh, are you really?
Trip to New Orleans.
Where you going?
Finally.
Oh, good.
Where you staying?